Okay, we are continuing on day 3 in Genesis chapter 1 in our series and study on the creation. Now, I want to kind of go back a little bit and kind of review a few things to kind of go over, to refresh our memory concerning what we've learned so far. We're going to ask some questions and just see how your brain is doing. When does the day begin? Sunrise. When does the day end? Sunrise. That's exactly right. One day ends, one day begins. That's exactly right. Who is it that developed? Yes, ma'am. Question.
I ain't quick enough to switch the mic back and forth for question and answer, so you're going to give this.
Oh, no. You don't have to switch back and forth on those. No, that's for when I. Oh, okay, so let me pause the recording for a second. I have no. Okay. What do we find created in day 1? No. Light. And day and night differentiation. Okay. What is darkness? The absence of light. That's right. Darkness is the absence of light. What do we also find in day 1 embedded into the creation of light? Or who do we find? Yeshua. We find Yeshua. We find the Aleph and the Tav embedded into verse number 1. Okay? Let's see. What was created on day number 2? Day 2? The expanse, or what else is it called? Firmament. Okay. We found there in verses 6 through 8 that the firmament divided the waters which were under the firmament and the waters which were above the firmament and separated. And it is simply a dome that is over the earth. Okay? It is also called the atmosphere in science. Okay? Day 2. What did we learn about day 3 so far? Earth, dry land and plants.
Herbages.
There you go. Herbage.
Yeah, that's it.
Herbage. Right. So I was trying to figure out if y'all remember that word. Okay. So we also learned in several different verses of Scripture. Of course, that video was done as well. But we learned about several different things concerning that. We're going to go back through some verses on day 3. We're going to continue on that today to finish that up, and then we'll get started in day number 4. But I wanted to go back and just review a few things to help us to keep our mind fresh. Okay, now, sir. Okay, so day 3, we're gonna go back to Genesis chapter number 1, and we're gonna look again at verses 9 through 13. We're going to read Genesis 1, 9 through 13. And I'm going to read this from the Ethiopian today. Genesis 1, 9 through 13 said, Elohim said, let the waters under the sky be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. Elohim called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. Elohim saw that it was good. Elohim said, let the earth yield grass, herbs, yielding seeds, and fruit trees, bearing fruit after their kind, with their seeds in it on the earth. And it was so. The earth yielded grass, herbs, yielding seed, after their kind, the trees bearing fruit with their seeds in it after their kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. There was evening and there was morning, a third day. Okay? Now, what did we determine, and this again is another question, what did we determine that the four things that were created on this day were? Four things created on day 3. Anybody remember? If you need to go back to your Jubilees, you can go back to your Jubilees chapter number 2. And
Dry land. Seas. Herb, fruit trees, grass.
herbage. And the Garden of Eden. That's exactly right. Garden of Eden. Now I want to read to you, we're always talking about multiple witnesses. Jubilee says that the Garden of Eden was created. Okay? It says right here, it said, and on that day he created for them all the seas according to their separate gathering places, and all the rivers, and the gatherings of the waters, and the mountains, and on all the earth, and the lakes, and all the dew of the earth, and the seed which is sown, and all sprouting things, and fruit-bearing trees, and trees of the wood, and the Garden of Eden in Eden, and all plants after their kind. These 4 great works Elohim created on the third day. Now, I know that there are many people that do not accept the book of 2nd Enoch. But there is an interesting passage of Scripture in the book of 2nd Enoch. And I'm going to get to that here in just real quick. I want to read to you. It's also called the Slavonic Enoch, or the Book of the Secrets of Enoch, and it is found also in the Ethiopian Bible. But in chapter number 30, it's very interesting. It says, on the third day I commanded the earth to make grow great and fruitful trees, and hills, and seed to sow, and I planted paradise and enclosed it. So right there is another witness to what Jubilee said about Eden being created on the third day. Okay, so again, we're talking about multiple witnesses. He says, and I enclosed it and placed as armed guardians flaming angels, and thus I created renewal. Then came evening and came morning the fourth day. And so even in the Ethiopian Bible, they recognize, and it's written here, put in parentheses in the Ethiopian Bible, that the fourth day was Wednesday in the Ethiopian Bible. And the Ethiopian Bible is the oldest scripture that we have, okay? And so they even recognize that the fourth day was on Wednesday, which is on the Zadokite calendar. And that's the way the Zadokite calendar is reckoned, okay? I want you to look at Job 26. We're going to look at some other verses that go along with day 3. Okay, we're going to look at some other verses. So go to Job 26. And we'll begin reading in verse number 7. Job 26 and verse number 7. I've really enjoyed reading out of the Ethiopian. I'm thinking I left one. So Job chapter 26, and we'll begin reading in verse number 7. Let me go here. Hold on. Too many books. Job 26, verse number 7 says, He stretched out the north over the empty place and hangs the earth upon nothing. Let me read it again. He stretches out the north over the empty place and hangs the earth upon nothing. Now, we know that we hold to, again, I do not believe that the earth is flat. Okay, I believe that it's biblical. Okay, I do not believe that it's spherical. It's not a ball, but neither do I believe it's flat like this floor, because it has mountains and ranges and hills and things like that. But we do believe, or at least I do, and I think many of you do here, that we are in a closed environment, much like what you would refer to as a terrarium, if you will. And yet many, and I found this to be interesting either. I'm not a soccer fan, okay, but how many of you have paid attention to anything with the World Cup going on? Okay? And you know how we always talk about that the world will tell you the truth, or Hollywood will tell you the truth, or whatever. In the opening ceremonies of the World Cup, they gathered on a flat earth map in the middle of the stadium. Gathered around, and they started their opening ceremonies. And guess what is in the middle? And this is the same map that's on the UN wall. Okay? It's also, y'all remember the movie Back to the Future? Michael J. Fox, remember at the very beginning where he goes to Doc Brown's studio, and he's got that giant speaker and he cranks up the guitar? Well, before he gets there, Doc Brown's clocks are all going off, and it's panning across, and on Doc Brown's mantle is a flat earth clock. Guess what's in the middle of that flat earth? What is in the middle of the flat earth map? Does anybody know? Kim knows. Do you know? The North Pole. The North Pole is in the middle of the flat earth map. And you'll notice what Job says in Job chapter number 26. And I'm not trying to snowball you, but Job chapter number 26 and verse number 7 says, and I'm gonna read it from the Ethiopian. He stretches out the north over empty space and hangs the earth on nothing. Okay? And so here very clearly that even Job talks about that the earth and the creation of the earth basically centers upon the north. Can someone tell me what star we have in our sky that never moves? The North Star. The North Star. Does anybody know what that name of that constellation is that is mentioned? That the North Star, do you know what that constellation is that has the North Star as its base? That's the star, but what constellation? Ursa Major. It's called the Great Bear. Or the Big Dipper. Yeah, the Big Dipper. Or let's go to. You're talking about the Wagoner, or the Wagoner is the Mazzaroth. That's the whole thing.
I thought you said that.
It's the beginning. It's the spoke or the center post of the Wagoner. Go to Job chapter number 38. This is probably my favorite chapter of the Bible. Job chapter 38. And I want to begin reading in verse number 1. Job chapter number 38. Job 38. Now, if you know anything about the story of Job, Job's been hanging out with his three friends. His three friends are giving him bad advice. Okay, friends will do that from time to time. Give bad advice. Job's got having a pity party, and they tell Job, "Oh, you must have sin in your life because all these things have befallen you. You lost your children. You lost your homes. You've lost your health. Everything has gone south." Okay, Hey guys, won't y'all find a place to sit down over here, okay? You're being disruptive. Yeah, we're not playing ball in here right now, okay? So in Job chapter 38 it says, Then Yahweh answered Job out of the whirlwind, Who is this who darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Brace yourself like a man, for I will question you, then you answer me. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? So what is the earth made of? What's it have? It has foundations. Okay? All right. What did we determine in our study so far that foundations are for? What's it for? What foundations for what? For support. And they are also to keep something from what? From moving. That's right. Keeps your building from moving. Okay, so you got to have a foundation. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if you have understanding. Who determined its measures, if you know? Or who stretched the line upon it? What were its foundations fastened on? Okay, so what are we hearing, and what are we getting the idea from Job that the earth is? It is stationary. That's right. We're getting the idea from Job that the earth is stationary. Okay? What were its foundations fastened on, or who laid its cornerstone? Verse 7, When the morning stars sang together and all the sons of Elohim shouted for joy. Or who shut up the sea with doors when it broke out of the womb? When I made clouds its garment and bars and doors and said, You may come here, but no further. Your proud waves shall be stopped here. It's telling us what? That the clouds can only go so far? Is that what it's saying? Who shut up the sea with doors? The sea can't go but so far. Okay. Verse 9, When I made clouds its garment and wrapped it in thick darkness, marked out for it my bound, set bars and doors and said, You may come here, but no further. Your proud waves shall be stopped here. Have you commanded the morning in your days and caused the dawn to know its place, that it might take hold of the ends of the earth and shake the wicked out of it? It is changed as clay under the seal and presented as a garment. From the wicked their light is withheld, the high arm is broken. Have you entered into the springs of the sea, or have you walked in the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been revealed to you, or have you seen the gates of the shadow of death? Have you comprehended the earth and its width? Declare if you know all. What is the way to the dwelling of light? As for darkness, where is its place? That you should take to it its bound, that you should discern the paths to its house. Surely you know, for you were born then, and the number of your days is great. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow, or have you seen the storehouses of the hail, which I have reserved against the time of trouble, against the day of battle and war? What did we say? What did we say was created on day one? Snow and hail and the ministering spirits, those angels that deal with those, okay? Verse 15, or verse 24, by what way is the lightning distributed, or the east wind scattered on the earth? Who has cut a channel for the floodwater, or the path for the thunderstorm, to cause it to rain on a land where there is no man, on a wilderness in which there is no man? To satisfy the waste and desolate ground, to cause the tender grass to grow. Does the rain have a father? Who fathers the drops of dew? Whose womb did the ice come out of? Who has given birth to the gray frost of the sky? The waters become hard, like stone when the surface of the deep is frozen. Can you bind the cluster of the Pleiades, or loosen the cords of Orion? Can you lead the constellations out of their season, or can you guide the bear with her cubs? All right, there were several things mentioned there. There was mentioned the bear and cubs and Pleiades. Who's the bear? The bear is Ursa Minor. The bear is the constellations, which we're going to learn more about next as we go on into day number 4. Okay? But here we see very clearly that Job is being talked to by Yahweh point blank concerning the creation. I want to read it from the Peshitta, verse number 31 says, "Have you seized on the face of Pleiades, or have you seen the path of the giant Orion? Behold, shall you bring forth the wagoner in its time, or have you stood at the face of the star Aldebaran?" The wagoner is another word for Ursa Major. I found it very interesting that wagoner was also found online as the name of the Big Dipper, Ursa Major. And in the Peshitta, it's mentioned as wagoner. Because everything centers around that wagon wheel. What do you have to have for a wheel to run right? What's that thing called in the middle? It's called. You got to have an axle, but what is that thing called? This is a wheel. This is not the axle. This is the wheel. What's that thing in the middle called? It's called a hub. You got to have a hub, or guess what? The wheel don't turn. Okay? The wheel in the sky would be akin to maybe an astrolabe. Anybody know what an astrolabe is? Astrolabe is what astronomers use to watch the constellations and tell the time of year. Things, the same thing that Noah and Abraham did and Enoch talked about. What did Ezekiel see in the sky? A wheel. What kind of wheel? Well, anybody ever heard of the rock group Journey? They sing a song called "The Wheel in the Sky Keeps on Turning." I don't know where I'll be tomorrow. Just pay attention. The world will tell you exactly what it is. This is what Yahweh is talking to Job about. He's talking about creation. Okay? And so when you look at this and you see what's written in Job and how he's talking about the foundations of the earth being fastened, he's talking about the work of his hands and things like that. I think it would be very foolish for us not to believe in the instructions concerning creation. Go to Psalm 19 and verse number 6. Psalm 19 and verse number 6. Psalm 19. If I can find it. It comes after 18. But they're not written very, very clearly in this Peshitta. All right, Psalm 19, verse number 6. And from the ends of the heavens, let's go. Let's go back. Verse number 5. No, let's go back. Let's go to verse 1. Heaven makes heard the glory of Yahweh, and the firmament shows the work of his hands. The what shows the work of his hands? The firmament. What do we say the firmament was? The dome, the expanse, okay? Verse number 2, day unto day pours forth speech, night unto night shows knowledge. There is no speech nor words whose voice will not be heard. Their gospel went forth into all the earth, and their words into the end of the world. In them he pitched his tabernacle for the sun. What's he talking about that is a tabernacle for the sun? He's talking about the firmament, okay? So therefore, the sun is out in space. Where's it at, Wesley? It's inside the firmament, inside the enclosed area, okay? All right, verse number Verse number 5, and he is like a bridegroom, talking about the son. Okay, we're going to read this again in day 4. But he is like a bridegroom who goes forth from the place of the bridal bed. He will leap for joy like a mighty man to run his course. And from the ends of the heavens he brings him out and makes him recline upon the ends of the heavens, and nothing is hidden from his heat. Okay? So meaning that he goes about in a circuit in the firmament. Again, talking about the firmament from day 2. Let's look at Psalm 24 and verse number 1. Psalm 24, verse 1 and 2. Psalm 24, verse 1 and 2. The earth is Yahweh's and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. For he hath founded it upon the seas and established it upon the floods. What did the earth come out of? What did the scripture say that the earth and the dry land and everything came out of? It came out of the water. Okay? Let's go to Psalm 33, verse 6 and 7. A lot of these verses, they cover all the different days of creation, and we may repeat ourselves, but that's okay. Psalm 33, 6 and 7. By the word of Yahweh were the heavens made. By what were the heavens made? What does John 1 say? In the beginning was and the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. So therefore, it says that the word of Yahweh, by the word of Yahweh had the heavens made. Who did we say came forth at the beginning? Light came forth. The Aleph and the Tav came forth. Who is the Aleph and the Tav? Yeshua. Okay. Verse number 7 of Psalm 33. Let's see. Verse 6, by the word of Yahweh were the heavens made, and all the hosts of them by the breath of his mouth. He gathered the waters of the sea together as an heap. He layeth up the depth in storehouses. Again, another reference to Yah's creation. Okay? Go to Psalm 95. Psalm 95, verse 4 and 5. Psalm 95, verse 4 and 5. In his hand are the deep places of the earth. The strength of the hills is his also. The sea is his, and he made it, and his hands formed the dry. Land was added in my Bible, but means the same thing. His hands formed the dry. So here we're very clear, multiple witnesses talking about the way that creation took its place. Okay? Stay in Psalm and go over to Psalm 104. Psalm 104 and we'll begin reading in verse number 5. Psalm 104 and verse number 5. Actually, let's just start at the beginning, because this is going to cover a lot of things that we've already talked about in the first 2 days of creation. Bless Yahweh, O my soul, O Yahweh, my Elohim, thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty, who coverest thyself with light as with a garment, who stretched out the heavens with a curtain, or like a curtain, who lays the beams of his chambers in the waters, who makes the clouds his chariot, who walks upon the wings of the wind, who makes his angels spirits, his ministers of flaming fire. When were they created? Day 1, that's right. Verse 5, who laid the foundations of the earth that it should not be removed forever. There again, there we're talking about foundations, okay? Verse 6, thou coverest it with the deep as with a garment, the waters stood above the mountains. At thy rebuke they fled, at the voice of thy thunder they hasted away. They go up by the mountains, they go down by the valleys unto the place which thou hast founded for them. Have y'all anybody in here ever been to the mountains? You ever been to a top of a mountain? Ever been to the top? We do a lot of insurance inspections. It seems like everybody wants to build it on the top because of the view, got the beautiful views. That's the best. That's right. Do you know they have wells up there? You know there's water in them mountains? There's lakes in them mountains. There's rivers in them mountains. You know, we're thinking, okay, where's that water coming from? Well, right there it says they go up, talking about the waters, they go up by the mountains, they go down by the valleys, unto the place which thou hast founded for them. I mean, you'd think that all the water's going to settle to the bottom. So therefore, if I'm going to get a well up there on that mountain, I'm going to have to drill about 15 miles down, No. It's amazing. It's amazing that you can find a well of water, Brother Larry, up in the mountains. Why? Because Yah's put it there. Verse 9, thou hast set a bound that they may not pass over, that they turn not again to cover the earth. He sends the springs into the valley, which run among the hills. They give drink to every beast of the field. The wild donkeys quench their thirst. By them shall the fowls of the heaven have their habitation, which sing among the branches. He waters the hills from his chambers. The earth is satisfied with the fruit of thy works. He causes the grass to grow for the cattle and herb for the service of man. There's that word herbage right there. That he may bring forth food out of the earth, and wine that makes glad the heart of man, and oil to make his face shine, and bread which strengthens man's heart. The trees of Yahweh are full of sap, the cedars of Lebanon which he hath planted, where the birds make their nest. As for the stork, the fir trees are her house. The high hills are a refuge for the wild goats, and rocks for the conies. Okay? So there again, we see another instance written in the Psalms concerning the creation. Okay, the creation concerning the third day. Let's go to Psalm 136, verse number 5 and 6. Psalm 136, verse 5 and 6. Says, to him that by wisdom made the heavens, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that stretches out the earth above the waters, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that made great lights, for his mercy endureth forever. We'll get into that for day 4. So right there, very clearly, tells us exactly what Yahweh has done concerning creation. Psalm 147 and verse number 8. Psalm 147 and verse number 8. Verse 7 says, sing unto Yahweh with thanksgiving, sing praise upon the harp unto our Elohim, who covers the heaven with clouds, who prepares rain for the earth, who makes grass to grow upon the mountains. How many of you got rain the other day? Is that not a blessing? We had 2 inches. How much you got? Man. But you know what? It was less than 24 hours. It's dry again. But I'm thankful for what we got. So when we look at day 3, we see a lot of things and a lot of witnesses concerning day 3's creation. The dry land, the seas, the herbage, and the Garden of Eden. Okay? All right, any questions on day 3? Any questions, comments, anything you'd like to mention, anything you'd like to share or question on day 3? Anything you don't understand? Anybody on Zoom that would like to chime in? Okay, let's go to day 4. We're going to move right along. Day 4, Genesis 1, verses 14 to 19. Genesis 1, verses 14 to 19. Genesis 1, 14 to 19, and Elohim said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth," and it was so. And Elohim made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And Elohim set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth and to rule over the day and over the night and to divide the light from the darkness. And Elohim saw that it was good, and the evening and the morning were the 4th day. Okay? So now day 4 we have sun, moon, stars. This is the beginning of timekeeping with Yahweh. Okay? Day 4 is the beginning of timekeeping per Yahweh's calendar. What did we read in Enoch, in 2nd Enoch today, that said when this day was on our calendar? Be on a Wednesday, okay? On our calendar. Okay? Wednesday comes from the pagan Woden. Woden's Day. Okay? But we know, according to the biblical calendar, that the 4th day is on Wednesday. Okay? Sunday being the first, Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday. Okay? So we're talking about sun, moon, stars. Now notice in our text, it says there that he said, "Let there be lights to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days." Okay? Now I'm going to go over to Jubilees, and I'm going to read in chapter number 2, verse number 8. Chapter 2, verse 8 through 10. So Jubilees, chapter 2, verse 8 to 10, "And on the 4th day he created the sun and the moon and the stars, and set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon all the earth, and to rule over the day and the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And Elohim appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days and for Sabbaths and for months and for feasts and for years and for Sabbaths of years and for jubilees and for all seasons of the years. And it divided the light from the darkness, and for prosperity, that all things may prosper which shoot and grow on the earth. These 3 kinds he made on the 4th day." So he made the sun, moon, stars. Okay? So, purpose of the sun. Purpose of the sun. All right, so it's going to be light, so it's going to rule the day. Okay, what else? Huh? I'm sorry. Warmth. Yep, heat. Okay. What else did it say? And Elohim appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for what? Days. Meaning the days are dictated by what? By the sun. Notice that our writer in Jubilees did not say it was by the sun and the moon. Okay? What else did it say that it's for? Not only for days, but what else? Sabbaths. Sabbaths. Meaning, what dictates the Sabbath? The sun or the moon? The sun. But why is it that our friends within the Messianic community and the Jews and everything follow the moon? Babylon. Right, exactly. All right. So it says to be a great sign on the earth for days and Sabbaths, and then for what else? Months. Okay. What is the Hebrew word for the word month? Anybody remember? It's Kodesh. Or you got to say it with that guttural, Chodesh. Okay? What did we say the word for moon was? Yareach. Yareach. What word in the book of Joshua does the word Yareach lead to? What city was named after Yareach? Jericho. Okay? Because they were moon worshippers. All right? So we go back to our Jubilees. The sun is to be a great sign on the earth for days and for Sabbaths and for months and for what? Feasts. Feasts. What do our friends who follow the moon calendar, what do they look for before they have their feast? They look for the moon. What does the Scripture say? It's the sun. It's not based upon the moon. Here's the verse of Scripture that they use to justify this. We've had people leave our assembly because of this, because they just can't see the truth. Go to Psalm 81, verse number 3. Psalm 81, verse number 3. And I want you to read it before I read it, and you tell me where it says that we are to observe the moon. All right? Let me read it from the Peshitta. It says moon. It does. But remember, all of our English Bibles say moon because of the translation errors. That word, if you look in the concordance, that word is Chodesh, which means month. Okay? And because people don't use a concordance and they don't look at words and what words mean, it makes a difference. Okay? This is what the Aramaic says, okay? Verse 3. Call with the trumpets at the first of the month and at full moon on feast days. Call with the trumpets at the first of the month. Don't say new moon. First of the month and at full moon on feast days. Now, I didn't read what the Ethiopian said, but let me look just to see what it says. It says, blow the trumpet at the new moon, or new month, new moon, at the full moon on our feast day. Again, moon being translated as month, because that's what the word is, Chodesh. But this is the verse they use to say that, oh, this is for a feast day right here. Meaning, what feast days fall on the first day of the month? Can you name one?
Passover?
Trumpets. Trumpets. What else falls on the first day of the month that's to be recognized? New Year? Yeah. Fourth month? Trumpets is what? Seventh month. And then 10th month. What are New Year's first month? What is the first, fourth, seventh, and 10th? What are those days of what? Days of remembrance. Okay? We just had one this past Wednesday. Okay? That's right. You're following the moon. They don't keep days of remembrance because they don't recognize where this instruction comes from, which is the book of Jubilees.
Now, like those who have Restoration Bible,
Uh-huh.
you have to be careful because
They're moon followers, right?
they say this is the new moon and the first day of our
Right. The TS 2009, I believe, still says new moon. Now, I did understand. Well, you done crossed it out. You crossed it out. Yeah. Yeah.
And even in Strong's, it's deceiving.
It's deceiving. That's right.
They try to make it say that it could apply to the moon because of the Jewish.
Right, because Strong's has a Jewish bias. Brown Driver Briggs does not. Yeah. Yeah. Okay? So when you look at this and you see this, you see the creation. This is the creation of the calendar. When we talk about day 4, we're creating Yah's calendar. We're setting his calendar in order. And when you flip that thing around, what does it do? It takes it out of order. Okay? And Yah is a creator of order. And what does the enemy want to do? Create what? Chaos, confusion, misunderstanding, deception. Yeah. Okay? So now let's see what else it says. Back to Jubilees chapter number 2, verse number 9. Appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days, for Sabbaths, for months, for feasts. What else? Years. Years. Well, even our world, even our 365-day calendar is based upon the movements of the sun. Okay? What else? Years and what? Sabbaths of years. What is a Sabbath of years? Sevens. Every 7th year is a what? It is a land Sabbath. Meaning what? Rest what?
You rest the land.
You rest the land. Right, exactly. Okay?
Plant or harvest.
Plant or harvest. That's right. That's right. And so, I don't think if me or Brother Paul ever got this concluded or anything, but Rachel Elior, who is a Hebrew expert on the Dead Sea Scrolls, speculated and postulated in one of her lectures that I listened to that the calendar, and like I said, I don't know that we've concluded this, but that the calendar very likely would be reconciled on feasts of 7-year Sabbaths, because the temple, there's no offerings coming in. Okay, the priests gathered their offerings for 6 years, and then the 7th year is a land rest, and so therefore everything about the offerings is based upon the harvests, and the harvests are based upon the feast days, and they're based upon the sun. Okay, so therefore on a Sabbath of years there is no gatherings, there is no tithing, there is no bringing fruits and things like that to the temple, because they're resting the land. Okay. So therefore, Rachel Elior postulated that very likely the calendar could be reconciled as far as getting it back in sync with the first of the year, with the constellations in the 7th year, because there's nobody, basically the priests are just there doing their thing. Okay, I thought that was a pretty good thing, but I don't know that we have proof on that. Now, what else comes after Sabbath of years? Jubilees. Jubilees. What is a Jubilee? How many years is that? 49 plus 1. Okay? Which equals 50. Why is it 49 plus 1? Jubilees falls on the 50th year, which is also the first day of the next 49. What's that? Paul, you saying something, brother?
I'll just, you already got it. You already got it. 50 and 1 are the same year.
Yes, yes. So that's why I said 49 plus 1, because it's 49 years, 7 sevens, 7 Sabbaths of years, times 7 is 49, plus 1 is 50, and the 50th year is also the first year of the next 49-year cycle. So it's 49 and 49 and 49 and 49, but it does equal to 50 because the 50th year is the Sabbath year. Okay, it's the Jubilee year. Okay? So the sun has been appointed for days, for Sabbaths of years, for months, for feasts, for years, for jubilees, and for one more thing. Seasons. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun. How many remember that song? If you're old, you remember that song. Huh? I didn't need to say that. Yeah. If you're old, you know that song, right? Exactly. My wife, she used to roll her eyes, but now she expects it. There's a song for everything. Okay, there's a song for everything, and I will find it. Okay. Seasons. The sun for seasons, not the moon. Okay. Now, let's go on to the moon. What does the scripture say that the moon is for? What does it rule? It rules the night. Okay? Where does it get its light from? Not from the sun. That's what science wants you to believe. Thank you, Brother Larry. It has its own light. Scripture says that it has its own light. Okay? What's that? It's a different light. Yeah, but it has its own light. Okay? And so it rules the night. It has a purpose because it goes through phases. Okay? It goes through phases or cycles. On a 29 to 30 day period. Okay? And so we see the moon has a purpose, okay? It is not the great light, and it is not the one that is in charge of all of these things, but it does have its purpose, and its purpose is for phases, for cycles, and as a second witness for the calendar. I can't spell. Hold on a second. I can't write. A second witness for the calendar. Okay? They say the moon affects the tides, and I guess it could. I haven't gotten that deep into that. I think it does. You know, all of the old timers used to say that babies were born on full moons, and more babies are born on full moons than they are on because of something with the gravitational pull. And I don't understand all that. I haven't gone that deep into it, but. The gravitational what? Pulled them out. Yeah, gravitational pulled them out. Right, exactly. There's a third thing that's mentioned here, and that is the star. Well, let me go back to the moon just for a second. Go over to Jubilee 6. Jubilee 6, and this is after Noah has come off the ark. And we look there in chapter number 6 and verse number, we'll begin reading in verse number 31. Jubilee 6, and we'll begin reading in verse 31. So it says, "Thus it is engraven and ordained on the heavenly tables, and there is no neglecting this commandment for a single year or from year to year. And command thou the children of Israel that they observe the years according to this reckoning, 364 days, and these will constitute a complete year, and they will not disturb its time from its days and from its feasts, and everything will fall out in them according to their testimony, and they will not leave out any day nor disturb any feast. But if they do neglect and do not observe them according to his commandment, then they will disturb all their seasons, and the years will be dislodged from this order. And they will disturb the seasons, and the years will be dislodged. And they will neglect their ordinances, and all the children of Israel will forget and will not find the path of the years, and will forget the new months and seasons and Sabbaths, and they will go wrong as to all the order of the years. For I know, and from henceforth shall I declare it unto thee, and it is not of my own devising, for the book lies written before me, and on the heavenly tables the divisions of days is ordained, lest they forget the feast of the covenant, and walk according to the feasts of the Gentiles, after their error and after their ignorance. For there will be those who will assuredly make observations of the moon. Now it disturbs the seasons, and comes in from year to year 10 days too soon. For this reason the years will come upon them when they will disturb the order, and make an abominable day a day of testimony, and an unclean day a feast day, and they will confound all the days, the holy with the unclean, and the unclean day with the holy, for they will go wrong as to the months and Sabbaths and feasts and jubilees. For this reason I command and testify to thee, that thou mayest testify to them, for after thy death thy children will disturb them, so that they will not make the year 364 days only, and for this reason they will go wrong as to the new months and seasons and Sabbaths and festivals, and they will eat all kinds of blood with all kinds of flesh." So when you look at the moon and the length of the time of the moon is visible 354 days a year. How many days are on the calendar? 364 or 365, if you're looking at the Gregorian calendar. So it's 10 days. You can look that up. You can look that up on any website, and it'll show you. I've got a moon app, and I counted them, and it's 354 days that the moon is visible every year, meaning that it matches what Jubilee said, that it comes in 10 days too soon. So you're missing 10 days by following the moon. That's why the Jews add a 13th month to the calendar.
Every 3 years?
Every 3 years, I think. Yep. They add a 13th month to the calendar.
So that means in the second year, they're already 20 days off.
Right. They're out of sync. Yeah. Yeah, so in 3 years, they're off by 30 days, okay? Here's another thing that goes contrary to this right here as far as the 13th month. The priest's schedule courses were based upon a 24-course cycle. 13 don't divide into 24, number one. And each month there was a guard rotation with the palace, with the king, a guard rotation. Every month, a different guard rotation. There's nothing in the Bible that says anything about a 13th month for guard rotation. Nothing in the Bible about a 13th month for feast days. Nothing in the Bible about a 13th month for the priests. Nothing at all. Zero. Okay? But yet, those that follow the moon, they have to do a 13th month in order to get their calendar back on schedule. Miss Sheila sent me something the other day. I think it was 1582. Let me see if I can find that, what she sent me. Yeah, October 4th. Yeah, 1582, the calendar was added from October 4th. It was added 11 days, and of course my birthday's on October 4th. But on Thursday, October 4th, on Thursday it was October 4th, on Friday it was October 15th in 1582. Well, why'd they do that? Because the calendar was out of sync, the Gregorian calendar. What do we do in our society in order to get our calendar back in sync? Leap year. There's also a weird month. February. Is it 28 or I thought it was 28 and 29. So if you're born on the 29th of February, you have a birthday every what, 3 or 4 years? 4, yeah, every 4 years. Every leap year. There's nothing in Yah's instructions that talk about a leap year. Nothing, zero. Because the sun, moon, and stars, they continue in their circuit without stopping, okay? They don't miss their circuit, okay? I'm going to go back to the second Enoch passage that I read just a little bit ago. Second Enoch chapter 30. And he says in verse number 3, and on the fourth day I commanded that there should be great lights on the heavenly circles. Circles. Not balls, circles. Okay? If something's on a circle, what does it do? It goes round and round and round and round. Okay? Says, and I found this to be very interesting. On the first uppermost circle, I placed the stars, Chrono, and on the second, Aphrodite, and on the third, Eris, and on the fifth, Zoes, and on the sixth, Hermes, and on the seventh, Lesser, the moon, and adorned it with the lesser stars. Upper circle. Okay? Then he says, and on the lower, I placed the sun for the illumination of day, and the moon and stars for the illumination of night. The sun, that it should go according to each constellation, 12. 12 constellations. 12 constellations, one per what? One per month. 12 constellations. So if you have 12 constellations, each one in a rotation in the circuit, what constellation does the 13th month have? Huh? It doesn't. The sun, that it should go according to each constellation, 12. And I appointed the succession of the months and their names and lives and lives, their thunderings and their hour markings, how they should succeed. Then evening came and morning came the fifth day. So when you look at this and you see what the Scripture reads and what is given to us, that there's 12 constellations in the circuit for the sun, moon, and stars in order to complete their duty. So the sun, the moon completes its circuit ever how many days? Every 30 days. Okay, moon, 30 days. How many days does the sun take to complete its circuit? To complete its circuit? 364. For it to complete its circuit. According to the book of Enoch, it goes into in and out of 6 gates. Okay? So to complete its circuit is 364. Okay? All right? What about the constellations? Stars. $364, but one per month. One constellation per month. And so we see that they have their rotation, they have their order, they have their circuit in which they follow. Now I want you to go back over to Psalm 104 again. I'm just going to hang right here just for a little bit. Psalm 104. And we're going to start in verse number 19. See if I wrote that. Yep, Psalm 104, verse 19. Grabbed the wrong pen. Okay, so Psalm 104, verse 19. He appointed the moon for seasons. The sun knows when to set. Okay? What does it mean he appointed the moon for seasons? Whenever we see right here clearly that the moon was not appointed for seasons. What's he saying right there? Does anybody know? What's that? Yeah, for its appointed time. The Peshitta says he made the moon for times, and the sun knows the time of its setting. So he made the moon for its appointed time. Okay? So when you look at the calendar, and Brother Paul does a great job of this, and Robert Vila and Gina Sparks and Sarah Davis with the Gospel Worth Dying For, they've done a great job on the calendar, understanding that the sun, moon, and stars are 3 witnesses to the calendar, and each one has its part, and each one is a witness to the calendar, but you got to understand what each one means. And when you look at what the psalmist is talking about, it's very clear that he's talking about the very same thing, that the moon knows its appointed time. Okay? We'll continue on in 104. And verse number 19, he made the moon for times, the sun knows the time of its settings. He made the darkness, and there was night, and in it passed through all the wild beasts of the forest. The lionesses roar to tear apart and to seek their food from Elohim. The rising of the sun, hold on a second, I lost my place. The rising of the sun, they are gathered, and they lie down in their dwellings. So what's he saying right there about the wild beasts? When do the wild beasts come out? They hunt at night. At rest during the day. That's exactly right. Okay? A son of man goes forth to his work and for his service until the evening. When does man work? What did Yeshua say? Work while it's daylight. That's exactly right. Do you know there's been more health issues documented from late night and third shift work? Because we used to didn't work third shift. Because what do you do? What's your body supposed to do at night? Rest and sleep. That's right.
And rebuild.
Okay. Verse number 24. How many are your works, Yahweh? And you have made them all in wisdom, and you have filled the earth with your possessions. This is the great sea, and an expanse round about in which are swarming things without number, great creatures with the small. In it the ships travel. This is Leviathan, which you have created to be merry in it. All are waiting for you to give them food in their times. You give to them, and they are fed. You open your hand, and they are satisfied. Okay? So here he's talking about the expanse. He's talking about the times. He's talking about the sun, moon, and stars. He's talking about all of those things right here in that passage of Scripture. That's why the sun knows its setting, the moon knows its time, it knows its season. And remember, we talked about this one other time about my theory. I didn't come up with this theory. I saw this, that the moon phases in and out of the water in the firmament. That the moon is not a rock that you can land on. Let me say that again for those that are watching and will be watching on YouTube when I post this. The moon is not a rock that you can land upon. Meaning, what? We didn't go to the moon. It is something that phases in and out, I believe very, very clearly, phases in and out of the expanse, out of the firmament, out of the waters, in order that you see it more clearly at different times. It comes in and out of phase based upon moving in and out of the firmament and the waters within the firmament. Okay? Let's go back to Psalm 136, verse 7 and 9. There's so much that can be said about the calendar that it would take us quite a while to deal with. Psalm 136 and verse number 7. He brings up clouds from the ends of the earth, and he made lightnings for the rain. He will bring forth the winds from storehouses, for he struck the firstborn ones of Egypt from the children of men and unto the animals. Let's look also at Psalm 74 and verse number 16. Huh? Hold on a second. Did I read the right verse? Hold on a second. I may not have read the right verse. Hold on a second. 130. Oh no, I'm sorry. I read verse 135. Okay, let me try verse chapter 136 again. To him, yeah, this makes more sense. I'm sorry. To him who made great lights. Are we on the same page again? Okay. To him who made great lights, for his mercies are to eternity. The sun for a ruler of the day, for his mercies are to eternity. The moon and the stars for rulers of the night, for his mercies are to eternity. Does that sound better? All right, much better. Okay. I apologize. I was reading the wrong. I told you they don't notate the chapters very well in this Peshitta rendering. I love the way that it reads, but I just don't like the way that they've laid out the verses. Psalm 74. And verse number 16 to 17 says, the day is yours, and yours is the night. You have prepared the light and the sun. You set all the boundaries of the earth, summer and winter, you have created them. Okay? Go to Isaiah chapter 40. Isaiah chapter 40 and verse number 26. Lift up your eyes on high and behold who has created these things, that brings out their hosts by number. He calls them all by names, by the greatness of his might. For he that is strong in power, not one faileth. Jeremiah 31, 35. Jeremiah 31 and verse number 35. Thus saith Yahweh, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinance of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divides the sea when the waves thereof roar. Yahweh of hosts is his name. If you happen to have a concordance right there, the word moon, 3394, is not Chodesh, it is Yareach. Okay? And then let's stay in Jeremiah, one more verse, chapter 33, and verse 19 to 26. Jeremiah 33, 19 to 26. And the word of Yahweh came unto Jeremiah, saying, Thus saith Yahweh, if you can break my covenant of the day, and my covenant of the night, and that there should not be day and night in their season, then may also my covenant be broken with David, my servant, that he should not have a son to reign upon his throne, and with the Levites, the ministers, my ministers. So we'll stop right there for a second. Can Yahweh break the covenant to where there is no day and no night and no seasons? What did he tell Noah when he got off the ark? Day and night, summer and winter, cold and heat shall not end. Okay? Verse 22, as the host of heaven cannot be numbered, neither the sand of the sea measured, so will I multiply the seed of David my servant and the Levites that minister unto me. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah, saying, Considerest thou not what this people have spoken, saying, the two families which Yahweh hath chosen, he hath even cast them off. Thus they have despised my people, that they should be no more a nation before them. Thus saith Yahweh, if my covenant be not with day and night, and if I have not appointed the ordinances of heaven and earth, then will I cast away the seed of Jacob and David my servant, so that I will not take any of his seed to be rulers over the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. For I will cause their captivity to return and have mercy upon them. And then right there is a great verse of Scripture talking about the blessings of the return in the Second Temple period of the children of Israel back to the land, because he says, I would not break my covenant of day and night, so therefore I will not break my covenant with them. Okay? Okay, Miss Sharon, go ahead and change that microphone for me. Oh. I thought you were running the microphone. Okay. Questions? Questions and comments? Anyone? No questions or comments?
I have a comment, Brother David. I've got three things that I'm trying to remember.
Okay.
When you were talking about or reading Jubilees chapter 6, and then they'll go wrong as to their the Sabbath, their days, their Sabbaths, and we'll go wrong, and we'll make it a day of a feast, abominational day, and and I don't remember the whole thing, but I've quoted it thousands of times probably. But when I first read that years ago, the very first time, and I'm a facts person, a data person, things that should match, things that have witnesses, things that mathematically match or add up or even close, and things that don't match. But when I first read that, even being an analytical person, I had water in my eyes, and I still remember that. So just reading that one little passage there. So, but that stuck with me even through the analytical proof and factual type of person that y'all's created me to be, I guess, for the most part. But the second thing is today, I think the longest day of the year as far as sunlight is between now and think they have the pinnacle in the morning before daylight, which is really tonight before
equal
daylight.
Day and night, right?
And well, not equal, but the longest, the
longest day, right?
The last day of the sixth gate, and then now it's moving back, going to move back,
right,
through 30 more, back through the sixth to the fifth, and then by the time we get to fall equinox, it'll be an equal day and night on that. What is it?
Yeah, equal day and night.
23rd or something of September.
Right.
So we're moving back. We're starting to move back tomorrow. We'll be moving through the sixth in 30 days through the sixth, and then on our way to equal night and day again at the middle of the, not the middle of the month, the 23rd of or so of September, and then as we get shorter days, we'll have the elliptical. So that's right now. That's today and part of tomorrow when it starts heading back. It turns around backwards.
Right.
And hits back through the sixth gate from where it came. And then the last thing that I wanted to go right along with when you were talking about the 12 guards, I think it's in Kings or Chronicles, 12 guards, and 12 constellations, and you had it part of Enoch. It's also in 4Q 318 of the Dead Sea Scrolls, and they only have 12. They don't have 10. They don't have 13. They only have 12 primary constellations mentioned in 4Q 318. And also, to go along with the 12 that you'd mentioned, Revelation 2:22, Revelation 22, verse 2, talks about therein at that time, at the water of life and in the throne room, or the throne with Yahweh and the Lamb, and it's missed, and there'll be 12 manners of fruit yielding in 12 months. And so not 13 or 15 or less than that, or it's 12. So that matches so many other witnesses as well. So I just want to throw that in, that we do have a lot. We have a lot of proof that's matching.
I had actually forgotten about the 12 manners of fruit. And I think, I need to go back and look at my Jubilees again, but I think there's, and I may be wrong, 12 manners of wood for the altar. I think there might be. I'd have to go back and look at that again to see about the wood. But 12 manners of fruit. One for each of the tribes, one for each of the months, one for each of the constellations. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and on. When we look at day 4, and we look at the sun, moon, stars, we know, and we have to take into consideration, we have to ask ourselves 2 questions. Number 1, do I believe what Yah has said, or do I believe what the world has told me? We may not have the answer for everything, okay? We may not be able to, I mean, you know, they've got all sorts of things that the world and NASA and all that stuff, they can make videos and they can make fake plane. So our new house is now on Google Earth, Google Maps. Before, it was just where they had cut out the foundation and laid all that out, and you could see our little camper over here at my mother-in-law's where we were living in, and so then we now have a picture of our house. Google car went by, got the picture of our house and all that stuff. You look from the sky, and that's a satellite picture. And in the little bitty print on the bottom, it says 2026 Airbus. What's an Airbus? It's an airplane. It's an airplane. That's exactly right. It ain't no satellite. It's an airplane. A satellite airplane. Yeah, that's good, brother. A satellite airplane. Yeah. So we either decide that we believe Yah's word in its entirety, okay? In its entirety, okay? In its entirety, okay? Or we say, well, I don't think that part's right. Then if that part's not right, then how do you believe the part about Yeshua being right? If this ain't right, then how can we believe the part about salvation being right? If this ain't right, how can we believe the part about forgiveness of sin not being right? It's either all right or it's all wrong. We can't pick and choose. I hear this all the time. Well, the Bible was written by men. Yeah, it was written by men. Yeah, it was. Let me go back to this just for a second. Before the Second Temple period, okay, and this is documented proof, okay, before the Second Temple period, there was no codex of books, okay? All it was individual scrolls, okay? The priest, the high priest, and the king were to copy out their own scrolls, okay? And it was the high priest and the Levites' responsibility to teach the people the Torah. It was the king's responsibility to know the Torah so that he can govern properly, but it was the priest's responsibility to know the Torah so that they could document and so they could let the people know, hey, feast day's coming up. Hey, tomorrow's the new month. We got Sukkot coming up, or we got Jubilees coming up, or whatever. We got something coming up. It was their responsibility, and they had to know what the Scripture said. Okay. It wasn't until during the Second Temple period, during the wonderful days of the Zadokite priests, and again, look it up. It's documented. Okay, that the Scriptures was codified, meaning that it was put in a somewhat of a canonical order, okay? Before that, it was just individual stuff. But during the Second Temple period, again, like we said, everybody wants to talk about the 400 silent years. I don't agree with that, because the years from Ezra all the way to Yeshua, or till 165 BC, was about 300 and some odd years, and it was nothing but wonderful blessings from the Father, because of the Zadokite priests that had been instructed and had been authorized there in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 44 and chapter 48, that went back and set up all these things. It's when the Septuagint was translated. It was when the Scriptures was codified and put together in a codex, and that way everyone could have the possibility of knowing Yah's Word. So we need to know this. We need to know what these things mean, and we need to be able to know how to explain this, okay? But we can't do it on the Jewish way. We can't do it on the Babylonian way. We can't do it on the church way. We've got to do it on Yah's way. Okay? Anyone else have anything they'd like to add? Do you have a question?
Yes.
Okay.
No, you want to stop.
So, anyone else? Okay.